What's going on, Canes fans? I just wanted to talk here for a moment about the national championship odds for the Canes going into the 2026 season and the ACC as well. Now, don't get it twisted before we dive into this. I'm very happy about Miami making it to the national championship in the 2025 season. No matter what path you took to get there, Miami was there in the Natty. And although we're disappointed that our team didn't win it, every team is trying to get to that game. So even though Miami didn't play in the conference championship, they found a way to get to the playoffs and make a run and get to that final game. But at the same time, it's a little disappointing to see a team like Duke, who went 7-5 in the regular season, and Virginia battling it out for the conference title. And I understand that there were some weird things that went down with the tiebreaker and some things that have been fixed and changed going into this season. But it's still ridiculous that a Miami Hurricanes team who is going to have the most talented roster in the ACC, it's ridiculous to think that they are not going to be capable of being in that conference championship. And speaking of the ACC championships, when you look at it, it's been primarily dominated by Clemson and Florida State. You look at the amount of ACC championships these teams have won. Clemson at 22, Florida State at 16. Heck, you have Duke now with 8 since they won it in 2025. And you see Miami sitting down here at 0. We're in the 0 club. The nobodies can't win the conference. And it's super disappointing, and it's aggravating, and to be blunt, I'm sick and damn tired of it. Now, I will say that Miami has not been in the conference as long as Clemson or Florida State. It's still no excuse, but in 2017, you make an appearance, but you get just absolutely curb stomped by Clemson. They were not ready for that game, and it was a huge mismatch. But especially here in today's times, you're coming up on, year 5 under Mario Cristobal, with the way that he's been recruiting and stacking up talent, and after the run that they made in 2025, you have to believe that this is going to be the year that they play in the ACC championship game once again, right? And we're not getting ahead of ourselves. That's not the point of this video. It's not a prediction. It's more or less me saying that I think this season the expectation, for me anyways, is to be playing in that ACC championship game. But I wanted to word it in a way that doesn't sound like I'm necessarily disappointed because we didn't play forward in 2025, because it all worked out as far as making it to the national championship game. Again, we didn't win it, right? Like, I understand that. Poke fun and laugh all you want, but Miami was there. And, there is a chance that maybe they made it to the ACC championship game and something happened, or, it's, again, we talk about it all the time, the whole butterfly effect thing. They might have made it to the ACC championship game, and for whatever reason, maybe they still did make it to the playoffs, but then they lost in round 1 or round 2 or whatever that may be. So I'm not upset overall about the way things played out in 2025. We played for a freaking national championship. But this season, when you look at how some of these teams are stacking up, I also wanted to talk about the odds. So as far as the odds to win the ACC going into last season in 2025, Miami was number 2, and it was right behind Clemson, funny enough. And we know that Clemson ended up finishing the season not so great, 7-5 with a 4-4 record in the conference. Miami at number 2. Neither one of those teams even played in the conference championship game. And I don't think that anybody would have predicted Duke and Virginia. Definitely not Duke, right? But then you have a Miami team that went out and they still Darian Mensah from Duke. And this is the quarterback that did in fact win the ACC last season, and not only won it, but was the MVP of that game. So the setup here is perfect for Miami to play in the ACC championship game, and there is no excuse to not at the very least be in it. And tell me if I'm right or I'm wrong. And it's not about predictions. Again, like I said, it's about saying that needs to be the expectation minimum this season, because if it's so tough to win a national championship. It's tough to play in one. It's tough to win one. Only 2 teams are going to be there. One is going to walk away victorious. But after Miami made the run in 2025 and did what they did, and now you reload in the way that you do with recruiting and the transfer portal and Mensa and the weapons you bring in, yeah, Heatherman is still here, Dawson is still here. I think that it's fair to say that you need to be playing in the ACC championship game, and that's not an unreasonable expectation. Now, I also want to take a look at the national championship odds here and just speak on that briefly. I want to show some love to the sponsor of this video, Sleeper, and I'm going to show you how you could turn your sports knowledge into some real money. Now, thankfully, the NBA All-Star break is over, so we do have some games coming up on Thursday, and the Charlotte Hornets are my favorite NBA team. I know that that's going to shock some people, but I've been a Hornets fan for as long as I can remember, and I think that LaMelo Ball in their first game back here against the Rockets is going to ball out. But I would take him for more than 20.5 points. You can see that it's as simple as just taking more or less on these player stats. Jabari Smith has been popping off with rebounds. I would take him for more than 6.5. And you know what? I'm going to do it. I would fade Kevin Durant, 24.5 points, taking him for less. And always check the promo tab. And when you look at that, they have 3+ picks, 40% boost. That would actually bump up that 28.25 to 37.55. So again, a shout out to Sleeper. Check them out. Top link down in the description. Just make sure that when you download it, you plug in code word COOP, because that'll activate that 100% deposit match up to $100 on your first deposit. Notre Dame is currently the favorite when we're looking at the betting odds here to win the national championship. I'm not surprised everybody continues to slurp on Notre Dame. They are the favorite at the moment, followed up with Ohio State, Texas, Indiana. Indiana is going to be really interesting because you had, of course, Mendoza gone, but then his younger brother also ends up leaving. I don't even know how talented the dude is, but he leaves and goes to Georgia Tech. So he's going to be in the ACC. Then you have Oregon. This is just wishful thinking, right? They're going to go on a run, and then they're going to get to the playoffs, and they're going to get absolutely blasted. Georgia up there, I mean, that's fair. They continue to win all the time. Texas Tech, though, above Miami, but they're both plus 1,400 technically, so I guess it's a tie here. But that's where you have Miami as far as odds for the 2026 season. They are a plus 1,400. And I wanted to ask you guys if you think that this is about the right spot or if you think that this is disrespectful given that Miami just played in the national championship in 2025 and then straight up reloaded the roster here. You bring in a quarterback that should be even more explosive than what we had with Carson Beck. Like I said, you retain, the majority of these coaches. You do have some position coaches that are being swapped out. But then to turn around and put the Notre Dame back up on top. Texas here, I think, was picked as the favorite in 2025 to win a natty. They end up not even making it to the playoffs. Yes, Indiana still has Cignetti, but are they going to be able to go on another run? They made it to the playoffs in 2024, got blasted in round 1. Then you play for a natty in year 2. Can they really go again in 2026? And then to turn around and put Oregon back up on here again, Georgia again, Texas Tech. And then you got LSU right behind with Lane Kiffin, new head coach. They're up there. We can scroll and look a little bit further. It is funny, though. We talk about it, about potentially being disrespected for those that maybe are leaning on that side of the fence. Seeing Miami above Alabama, seeing Miami above Oklahoma, above Michigan, above some of these teams that are typically way up here, right? I can tell you for a fact that Miami last year, before the season kicked off, was a plus 4,000 team to win the national championship, and they ended up being in it. So they went from plus 4,000 before the 2025 season started to a plus 1,400 before the 2026 season started. But I just kind of wanted to take a look at some very early odds here and share with you guys where they have Miami at the moment. Currently, there are no official odds for who's going to be the favorite to win the ACC. Personally, I would assume that Miami is probably going to be the favorite. The fact that they had Miami in that number 2 spot last season behind Clemson And with playing in the national championship in 2025, you would think that they're probably going to put Miami up at the top to win the ACC. But again, that's something where Miami needs to prove that they can finally do it. Look, if it played out that Miami somehow found a way to miss the ACC championship game this season, or they make it there and then they lose it, the end goal is a national championship. Get into the playoffs. That's the goal. That's what we want to see Miami do. But dang it, it would feel really good to finally get to an ACC championship game again, be there to represent the conference and win it. And you know that the ACC would probably prefer a team like Miami to make it to the conference championship game and win it. After what we saw last year, I mean, their ACC championship winning team did not even represent the conference in the playoffs because Duke had a 7-5 record. And then even if Virginia had made it, you knew that they weren't going to make it very far. It's no hate. There's no bias there, just being 100% honest. So, man, what an opportunity for Miami to come out with the way that they've loaded up this roster, the way that the schedule plays out. They need to be in that ACC championship game in 2026, and that is going to be my personal expectation. And I expected them to make it in 2025, to be 100% honest with you. And like I said, they gotta not just show up for these big time games, playing Notre Dame, playing some of these non-conference teams that they do. They're gonna have to be able to win those games where they're a 2-touchdown favorite and it's away on a Friday and it's a conference game. You have to be able to handle business in those games. So just let me know kind of your thoughts with ACC championship, with national championship, just thoughts going into the season here. Just wanted to chop it up for a few minutes with you guys, but that's what I'm expecting. Making it to the ACC championship game, hopefully winning it, and being right back there in the playoffs with the talent that we have on this team and everything that we saw last season. I would not expect a ton of drop-off here. Obviously, anything could happen. You never know. But that's just what I'm expecting right now early on. Remember, though, guys, we're all one big happy college football family, but at the end of the day, I got to say, it's always better when you get to rep the U. Coach Coop, peace out. I'll see y'all in the next one.